Good morning, everybody. Hello, Mike. Abuses of Scientology. It's not easy being me, healing together. Yes, healing together. That's exactly right. Heather, good to see you. Amanda, thank you, everyone who's joining. And thank you, everyone, for supporting. Hello, Hashes Burger. I wanted to talk today on this live about the power of truth. A reckoning begins because today we stand on the foundation of truth. Today we stand in light of the facts. And today, for the very first time, we can acknowledge that we have been heard. For too long, the crimes committed against children in Scientology have been buried beneath silence, beneath intimidation, beneath the systemic refusal to acknowledge what so many of us have actually known and lived. But yesterday, before the LAPD commission, something changed. The truth. Our truth was not just spoken, it was recorded and it was recognized. It was placed on the public record where it can no longer be ignored, no longer be denied, and no longer be dismissed. The weight of what we have accomplished cannot be overstated. Cannot. Because this was not just another meeting or another plea or another attempt to be seen by a system that has too often turned its back on us, the kids that grew up in Scientology. This was a reckoning. This was a moment where the wall of silence began to crack, where the lies and the cover ups began to lose their grip, where the world was forced to confront evil, where the world was forced to confront the reality of what has existed in the shadows for far too long. We stood before one of the most powerful law enforcement bodies in the country, and we have laid bare the reality that has been hidden for decades. We spoke of what type of rhetoric was governing the illegal acts. The one that govern how to systematically hide the crimes that Scientology finds out are committed against children, all while being mandated reporters, all while having no reports. This wasn't conjecture. What we presented wasn't an assumption. This was our testimony. We lived it. We lived that hell. And we have broken our silence so that no other kid is ever subjected to what we endured. There is no silver lining in having your entire childhood ripped apart. There is no silver lining in that. Where there is a silver lining is in ensuring that no child is put in our position, because we do know, because we are aware, because we've been screaming it at the top of our lungs for a very fucking long time. L. Ron Hubbard's own son, as we covered yesterday in our live, L. Ron Hubbard Jr., told the world in a different public council meeting in Clearwater, where imagine they hosted L. Ron Hubbard's son, L. Ron Hubbard Jr., who told the world that his father believed that he himself was above the law. And he believed that he actually not was only just he above it, he created the law. According to L. Ron Hubbard, he created the law with his OT powers. He summed up the law books to be written. This wasn't just the belief of a man, it was the foundation of an institution that has shielded abusers, silenced victims, and manipulated justice for generations. The kids that grew up in Scientology have been denouncing our parents for how many decades, for everyone to shut their eyes, close their mouths, and stick their hands in sand, as if being ostriches is going to really do something to help a child. As if. It's this mindset, this level of arrogance, this level of lawlessness that has bred suffering, and yet it has remained unchallenged in the public sphere for far too long. But we have challenged that, guys. We challenged it yesterday. We challenged the status quo. We challenged the delusion that the LAPD has ever had the kids that are growing up in Scientology's back. To protect and to serve, they say, but there is no physical evidence that they protected or served the kids that grew up in Scientology. It's that simple. They're not living to their motto, to their pitch. Oh yeah, we really protect and serve the kids in Scientology that have been trafficked into Celebrity Center, into the Blue Building, into all manner of other commercial buildings that are hosted by the City Council of Los Angeles City, have not been protected or served ever. There's been no protection. There's been no enforcement of laws. There's been an entire delusion that, according to these people, L. Ron Hubbard did invent the law, so he is superior. So these hotels and commercial buildings are being allowed to exist outside of the confines of the law, to have no mandated reporters around, and to have unfettered access to kids. Got it. Got it. We also placed on the record yesterday, you guys, on our live, testimony from Hannah Whitfield, who spoke about babies left in cribs soaked in filth, of infants who did not survive. Literally 2 babies that died unaccounted for. Bodies were disposed. Nobody knows where in the hell they disposed them. The LAPD was never called. The policy of never calling the police goes way back to what? Oh yeah, the inception of the fraud. It was part of the prerogative of the convicted felon that's been pitched as an American-bred god. Whoever wants to run with that fake pitch can go and F themselves. Whoever wants to worship an American-bred god that is also a convicted felon, that is also a convicted fraud, that was also being looked out by all of the authorities of all many countries. And yet the Scientology parents continued providing unfettered access to all their kids, to the people that, where was the common sense being shown by these people that our parents were exposing us to? Can anyone find the common sense? You are all mothers here. You are all fathers here. Where is that common sense? Because I've already told you how many times that the common sense of these people was literally scraped off of themselves as they renounce all critical thinking skills, as they outsource all their choices to a convicted felon. How is that really going to work out for people? Imagine going like, oh, you know who I really need to outsource all my adult choices? That convicted felon. That it is being pitched as a New York Times bestseller. Mind you, this is an American product. L. Ron Hubbard is an American product, a so-called American deity that the IRS is handing full-blown tax incentives to felons that admit to felonies. The man that we read yesterday from that mother that found out everything about the situationship, guess what? He floated it all away. Guess what? He never went to see the LAPD, the Clearwater PD, or anyone else for that matter. Never. Never. They are cradled and canoodled. The felons are cradled and canoodled. The felons are given tax incentives. Let that sink in for the people that are still confused about what could be wrong here, what could be bad about this. Starting with that. Because again, this is a system where the police was never called, because the only law that was mattering was their own. Like L. Ron Hubbard Jr. said, the only sin in Scientology, this is going to get very religious for all of you who are wondering if this is religious. Yes. According to L. Ron Hubbard Jr., the only sin in Scientology was getting caught committing the crime. That's the religion these people are preaching. Commit the crime in our adult game where all manner of things are going to go and no one's going to rein it the F back. Just don't get caught. Just don't get caught. And you know what? If you did do a crime, then just pay us the tax incentive that we're going to give you for all of you that want to go save the people that, oh my God, they've donated so much money. They got a tax write-off. Stop pretending that these people didn't give and didn't calculate their tax write-off according to what they were going to give the money to do what exactly. They all had a full-blown access to see all the kids working in these hotels and commercial buildings. And yet not one single one of them is pressed enough to say anything effective. Imagine that. These were not isolated incidents. As we said, this document is but the tip of the literal MF iceberg. Just the tip. Just the tip. Just imagine how many more incriminating, self-admitting of the full-blown felony, corroborating every single aspect. I mean, mandated reporters, yeah, very internal. See, that's what they drove them cuckoo. Oh, yeah, we really are handling this situation. Handling, because we really report on this, but you only report internal. What about the Child Protection Act? What happened to that? What happened to 1997, Claire Headley, when everybody found out that that was the law? And then what? Oh, yeah, let's change the terms. Let's call it extreme outduty if there's really actually a felony committed against a child, because, you know, the LAPD, the Clearwater PD, and all mandated reporters are too stupid to decipher a word, a euphemism that we use. And then we're just going to call that euphemism a religious word. And then we're just going to groom all the children to, you know, ensure that they know what a felony is. Ensure they have a misunderstood word on that. Because instead of telling them that when someone violates them, that's a felony, we tell them that's an auto-D. Because yesterday, again, right after this live that we did at the commissioners meeting, we brought you Astra Woodcroft, an underage kid that started calling out all the dysfunction, type, place, form, and event as is. Before there was any YouTube channel, before there was any community, before there was nothing. She came out talking, speaking, calling out the corruption, naming it. What did she say? Yes, when she was the inspector of reports, she was getting the reports of this happening. She was an underage child placed by Scientology degenerate executives that put kids to do the ethics handlings of the adults. That's what the Scientology executives don't want to confess. That little sin of theirs of placing underage kids over adults. A practice none of them could defend today with a fucking straight face because it's as disgusting and as indefensible as it always was. In what world is it the year 2025 and now this is being spoken about? And now people could be upset about this? Astra Woodcroft put this on the public record long time ago. If anyone would have bothered to actually listen to what she was saying, maybe more things could have been done. Because she exposed the conditions that kids exposed to the Mace Kingsley Ranch in Palmdale. Remember the trouble ones, the kids that didn't want to go in the Sea Org. So don't forget, the parent that wanted to go to the Sea Org and their kid that didn't want to go in the Sea Org ended up sent off to Palmdale, where the Palmdale police is also clueless, also has no idea, also has no patrols checking anything, also has no idea how to, spot the fact that this Wally guy was, what was it? Oh yeah, selling services for kids. So the trouble ones ended up there, including the Sea Org members, the kids that said, no, mom, I don't want to go in the Sea Org. Okay, well, let's send you to a ranch. Children that were not protected by the laws of the land because Scientology decided that they are above the law of the land. So yesterday we were given a voice. Yesterday we pried open the door that has been bolted shut for 2 MF long. Yesterday we did not make noise. Yesterday we brought the goddamn receipt. So let there be no mistake that there is no turning back from this. All Scientology parents that want to claim that you're not just like the mother that wrote down all those reports, good luck. Scientology has everything you've ever written to them. So all of the mothers that also knew who was going out to be with who, you've already written it up on yourself. You already admitted it for yourself. My own mother knew that Nestor Vivas was a full-blown PDF file. My own mother was told that by my grandmother. My grandmother told my mother, oh yeah, Nestor, my senior. Oh yeah, he was molesting a 6-year-old. That's why he got declared. He was sent back to Nicaragua. Do you think my mother thought, oh, what happened to the kid? Oh, should we call the police? Oh, that's criminal. No. My mother was like, oh, good. He got declared as oppressive. That sounds great. That sounds amazing. That sounds like we're really on our way to save our world. So whoever wants to say the Scientology mothers don't know, they know. They all wrote it up on themselves. They're that stupid. They're that self-righteous. They're that delulu. They're literally, completely, and utterly delulu. In what world can someone write what that woman wrote with a full-blown straight face, knowing she was committing a crime, knowing how serious CP is to be had on a literal title company of Los Angeles? Imagine, damn. We have spent years, decades, demanding justice. And time after time, we've been met with silence, with apathy, with the kind of bureaucratic cowardice that allows powerful predators to continue to abuse powerless kids who cannot defend themselves and who just are being allowed to continue to suffer. We have seen what happens when systems that protect institutions over kids. What happens exactly? We have seen what happens to predators that go unpunished because their crimes are too inconvenient to expose. Their crimes represent a PR flop for Scientology, and that is the measure of why those crimes are never addressed. For anyone that is too stupid to connect that dot, there you go. There you go. You have seen it, and we will not accept this shit anymore. Because this movement is not just about those of us who are speaking. The movement is about every child who was born into Scientology and never had a say, never had the ability to consent. Every child who was raised under policies that demanded their silence, their servitude, their enslavement, their suffering. Every child who was denied the protections that others take for granted. To those children, to those now grown, and those still trapped inside, we see you. We fight for you. And we will not stop until justice is done. And to every survivor who has spoken, who has fought, who has carried the weight of what was done to them in silence, your voices are no longer whispers in the dark. They're echoes that will thunder through every courtroom and every investigation and every institution that has failed every child growing up in Scientology. So to all of those in power, to all of those who have had their evidence in their hands and are still doing nothing, time to wake the F up. Wakey, wakey, toast and bakey. The record is clear, and history will not be kind to those who look away when they had a chance to act. Because this moment is a reckoning, and it is only the beginning, because there are going to be no more children in Scientology, because children cannot consent to be exposed to what Scientology wants kids exposed to. It's that simple. And if you still don't get it, go do the goddamn research. We as kids need the research, mind you. So in what world can no adult do a shred of fucking research for themselves? Silence is canceled, and the truth is going to prevail. And all of you witnessing, and all of you being there, and all of you being eyes and ears, and keeping your bandwidth and your time focused on what matters. There's a lot of people that need to start understanding what reading a room is. So go look it up. Go look up what reading a room is. Go do that in sentences. Do a clay demo. And also figure out what kind of dignity needs to be done when you're advocating for survivals of horrific crimes against kids. Thank you guys all for watching. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.